from inside Blofeld's hollowed-out volcano lair, it's the DigiGods. Now here's two men who never tolerate failure in their organization, Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
And we are back, and Mark is back, although he's romancing in the other room. So I'm solo right now. So, Corey, who sent that in?
That was sent in by Ian Lasky, writing from the fog-shrouded, cobbled streets of ye olde London townie.
Oh,
his words.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ian, and thank you, Corey. So while Mark finishes doing all of his stuff in the other room, we have a ton of stuff to get through today. A lot of music, tons of music, some classic stuff, new stuff, foreign stuff, an amazing Criterion. And we should also point everybody to the fact that Filmstruck is officially launched. It is not on Apple TV yet. It is on Fire, and it is on mobile devices. Apple TV officially becomes eligible for Filmstruck on December 1st. I guess there are security things and other technical issues to iron out. So anyway, if you have Apple TV 4, it will be a downloadable app from the App Store on the Apple TV 4 on December 1st. And then everybody will really, really be rolling with Filmstruck. What an amazing service. Trying to get some interviews and some insight into how that thing finally all came together. But what a great service for film lovers. We should also start off by making mention of the fact that when this show airs, it will be around about the time of the American presidential election. And I think everybody's going to be thrilled to get back to movies with that thing out of the way. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and just start rolling through a little bit of classical stuff, which I know Mark always hates when I talk about. A whole bunch of stuff that's come out over the past couple of months from Naxos and their affiliated labels. And if you like opera, if you like ballet, if you like classical music, some interesting stuff in here. This is Mariinsky, Prokofiev, Semyon Kotko. This is a completely Russian opera event. Prokofiev's Semyon Kotko. I'm sure I'm mutilating the name, but very interesting opera, one I'm not familiar with, and even though I love Prokofiev, but it's visually brilliant, dazzling. I watched enough to know that I was not going to follow the plot. Sleeping Beauty. This is a ballet from the Staatsballet Berlin. Absolutely beautifully produced. Really a fantastic thing. I do have a soft spot for ballet. A good friend of mine from kindergarten wound up being a professional ballerina, and I have endeavored to follow it as much as I could over the years. A little bit more contemporary is the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. This is from Lincoln Center at the movies. More contemporary dance, and mostly. I mean, at least one of them is choreographed by Alvin Ailey, but it's all from the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater company, and it's modern dance. What can I tell you? A little bit more my speed is Kenneth Macmillan's L'Histoire de Manon, which is a Parisian ballet. This is also really, really lovely, much more traditional. And this is from the Bel Air Classics line. We also have Charles Gounod, Romeo and Juliet. This is from Art House Music. This is they call this an opera film. And that is essentially what it is. It is an opera filmed with the chorus from the Czech National Opera and Kuhn's Mixed Choir from Prague. It's a little bit more like those Zeffirelli movies that he made at one point, Othello, and he did that himself. Let's see. Let me get to a couple of other art house music titles here. Actually, Opus Arte. We have a couple from Opus Arte. All of this will hopefully keep me biding time until Mark gets here. One is Shakespeare's Othello, the Royal Shakespeare Company, done in a really, really super cool modern way with a predominantly black cast. And that is really, really interesting. Very, very cool. Then we also have Benjamin Britten's The Rape of Lucretia, which is with the London Philharmonic Orchestra. That's from Opus Arte. and the Glyndebourne line really just really amazing. Something I was also not familiar with, but I'm only modestly familiar with Britain in the first place. Art house music, also Dead Dreams of Monochrome Men and Strange Fish, directed by David Hinton. This is a fascinating kind of modern theater piece, and not for everybody's taste. More traditional, Verdi's Aida, with the orchestra and the Teatro Regia Torino. This is from C major. Anything Verdi is always worth a look. Zubin Mehta directing the Vienna Philharmonic in Johannes Brahms Piano Concertos No. 1 and 2 from Unitel Classics. That's on this is all on Blu-ray, by the way. That is absolutely beautiful. Some of Brahms' best work. And then the hold on, Mark's calling. Yes, sir. Yeah, come on in anytime. This is a farce. Then Razan Roland Kirk, The Case of the Three-Sided Dream. This is quite an award-winning documentary about the life of Razan Roland Kirk, who is an extraordinary musician like you have never seen before. Really, just absolutely a beautiful film, and that is a fabulous Blu-ray. If you are unfamiliar with Razan, that is R-A-H-S-A-A-N, Roland Kirk, you would do yourself a favor by familiarizing yourself. Parsifal by Wagner, a new performance of Parsifal, courtesy of Daniel Barenboim and the Staatskapelle Berlin, with direction by Dmitry Chernyakov. That's from Bel Air Music, also on Blu-ray. Joni Mitchell, The Fiddle and the Drum. Fantastic, really. Just fabulous dance and great music. And this is a kind of an unusual modern ballet effort. Definitely worth checking out. That is what company? The Alberta Ballet Company. Apparently they do ballet up in Canada as well. Mozart's The Marriage of Figaro. This is on DVD only. This is from Accentus Music, part of the NCPA recordings line. Beautifully done. Conducted by Lu Jia and staged by Jose Luis Castro for the China National Center for the Performing Arts. Very unusual staging, traditional and yet not quite so traditional. Then we have a choreographed opera of The Picture of Dorian Gray from the Danish National Opera, which is weird and cool and very unusual. I didn't even know this existed. That is also on DVD. We have, coming down to the end here, also all on DVD, Elgar's The Dream of Gerontius with Sir Adrian Boult and the London Philharmonic Orchestra, an original BBC recording filmed in color with a documentary on Adrian Boult. This goes back a ways, and this is quite amazing. Really a spectacular performance, beautifully done from 1968 at Canterbury Cathedral in England. Beautiful. And then The Becoming of the Mannheim Ring is a film by Rudy Bergman, which is essentially a film of the staging of the Wagner Ring cycle from 3 years ago for the Mannheim National Theater. And not quite the most engaging thing in the world. It's a little tough to watch The Ring. It's a little tough to watch it being staged, but for people who are Wagner purists, you'll probably love it. And then Giacomo Puccini's Turandot, also with the China National Theater for the Performing Arts and Chorus, conducted by Daniel Oren, staged by Chen Xingyi. Obviously, any staging of Turandot, however you want to pronounce it, is worth watching. I still say Zhang Yimou's is the very best, but this one is not bad at all. Beethoven's Symphony No. 9, the legendary Symphony No. 9, conducted by Christian Thielemann and the Vienna Philharmonic, is a beautiful rendition. Can't really go wrong with that. And then lastly, from the Opernhaus Zurich in Switzerland, is Bellini's I Capuletti e I Montecchi, which is basically Capulets and Montagues, in other words, Romeo and Juliet, yet again. And as you know, it's an okay staging. This is from 2015. It's fairly recent, but not quite as traditional as I would personally have liked. And with that, we are through our initial classical music section, and Mark is wandering back. Thank you for wandering back.
Well, okay. How long did it take you to get this thing going?
Like an hour and a half.
Yes,
Yeah.
it took you an hour and a half to get your computer going.
Yeah.
And so I called my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I have a girlfriend. She lives in Paris. Yes, I have a girlfriend. She is
She lives in
5,000
Paris.
miles away.
Yay. Good for you. All right, so now that I've bored everybody to tears, wake them up, Mark. Tell them what they can expect today.
Huh? I don't know. I just walked in.
I don't know. All right, so we got new movies.
I saw Arrival, by the way.
You saw the Arrival? Yeah, how was
Arrival.
it?
It's good.
Yeah, I
With
hear
Amy
that.
Adams and Forrest Whitaker.
Right?
It's a good movie.
It's a good movie.
I saw Arrival at the Soho House.
Yeah,
which is
the screening room. How is that screening room? I haven't seen it.
Nice.
Is it?
Yes, it seats 50 people. It's got those huge red, plush, soft, comfortable seats, super wide with red velvet footstools, red velvet ottomans.
Yep.
And we saw Arrival with Amy Adams, and I got to tell you, that director, Denis Villeneuve, whatever his name is, he's the man.
Yeah.
He is the man.
Sweet.
If you know what, you realize he's directing Blade Runner 2, and he's one of the and as loath as we all are, whether we are a host or listener, at the idea of there being a Blade Runner 2, if there has to be one, I'm glad it's him. I'm on board.
Nice.
This guy is super talented. So we went to the Soho House, which is a members-only club. It's $2,000 a year to become a member. I actually tried to join once, and I was turned down because I probably am not rich enough or handsome enough or thin enough. So we saw the movie at their screening room. And then I took our friend Phil. You know, Phil works for Phil works for the state, so Phil gets no perks in life.
Uh-huh.
So he had always wanted to go to the Soho House, which is like, all the celebrities show up to the Soho House. It's like the big celebrity hangout. So we wound up spending, including the movie, 6.5 hours at the Soho House. Because 2.5 was the movie, and the next 4 was Phil sitting outside because they have a wraparound patio that wraps around the entire perimeter of the building. And so we ordered 3 desserts at the wraparound patio at the Soho House, and then we ate inside. We drank inside. We went to the restaurant down the hall, and all I wanted was for him to see just some celebrity, anybody. Just it seemed like a trip to the Soho House is not complete without a celebrity sighting. So, Hugh Grant walks in. I'm like, okay, all right, Phil. You saw Hugh Grant.
Nice.
You leave now. That's about the celebrity sighting. That's all you're going to get today, I can imagine. So we were there for 6.5 hours. Saw a terrific movie, Arrival. Very much recommended. Smart sci-fi. Got 3 desserts. Walked my friend around the Soho House. $2,000 a year to join. And saw Hugh Grant and left. It's fantastic. Had a great time.
Good for you. Good for you.
Well,
thanks,
let's
Wade. Talk.
I'm glad my evening has your approval.
Let's talk about a really terrible movie, Into the Forest. This is a problem.
Into the Forest Whitaker?
Yeah, Into the Forest. This is just not. This is an unfortunate movie. With some very good actresses, but I just sometimes you just wonder what people are thinking. Patricia Rozema wrote and directed this. Very talented filmmaker with 2 very, very talented actresses, Ellen Page and Evan Rachel Wood. But it's like this weird futuristic kind of semi Mad Max-ish post-apocalyptic. It's like they wanted to do the Hunger Games, but they didn't have enough money, so they just have 2 girls, set in the forest. There's this big this global.
No one's seeing that way. No one cares.
There's global power outage,
No one
and they've got to somehow
no one cares.
make do. It just doesn't really go anywhere. It just feels like Hunger Games with not enough budget to actually do the Hunger Games.
No one cares.
It's too bad. Anyway, Blu-ray and Ultraviolet, and then is Patricia Rozema's Into the Forest. 2 very fine actresses, Ellen Page and Evan Rachel Wood. A good director, but otherwise just lackluster material.
Speaking of good female actress type people, Bad Moms. Mila Kunis, Kristen Bell, Katherine Hahn.
Yeah.
Jada Pinkett Smith and Christina Applegate. I think it's fine that the women get their version of a hall pass dude movie type thing. I think that's absolutely fine. Is this the movie you wanted? Not really. It barely makes it over the Mendoza line for you baseball fans. It seems as if, considering the talent involved, it doesn't really get as outrageous or as clever as you want it to go. But the cast is terrific, and it gets a little sweet and syrupy at the end, which I guess it has to, which is a little bit disappointing. So I would, if you're a woman, if you're a mom, whether you're a good mom or a bad mom, I'm sure you get your girlfriends over, give this a whirl on a Saturday night with the kids already sleeping, and you might have a good time. Lots of penis jokes and women swearing, and I guess that in and of itself is funny. I wish it was funnier and took more advantage of the talented ladies involved and a little more clever and whatnot. But what are you going to do? Bad moms.
Not interested. Good luck with that. Carnage Park. And a movie, called Carnage Park. What do you want? It takes place in 1978, and it's a thriller, basically, in the wake of a bank robbery that's gone completely kaput, and everything goes even more kaput, and it goes completely off the rails. And it becomes all about carnage. Written and directed by Mickey Keating, who has fun with it. It's a little bit too bloody to be funny and a little bit too campy to really be effective. It's kind of an unusual film. This is from Scream Factory. I don't really know how to weigh in on this. It's nice to see Alan Ruck, who always makes for a nice presence. I just can't look at him without thinking of and I've been in his house. It's just you can't look at him without thinking about Ferris Bueller.
No, Star Trek Generations.
Yeah, that too.
He was so miscast in that. I'm sorry.
Well, anyway.
He's so dorky looking.
Yeah.
I can't see him as a captain of anything.
And then Sausage Party got a little bit of advance buzz and then kind of didn't really go anywhere. A ton of great voice talent in this thing. It's a dirty animated movie from the Seth Rogen team, and fair enough. But you need more than just dirty talking. You need more than like a Toy Story with foul mouth, which is basically what this is. It's food. The whole idea that food comes back, and they find out that their dream of heaven, where they go, is not really heaven. Some people have read like an atheist theme into this, which I think is really overplaying it. I don't think it's that deep. I just think they wanted to be dirty. And they found an interesting way of doing a Toy Story-like thing with food that was let them be, filthy and satisfy their crowd. But anyway, it's fine. It's not great animation. It's not horror. It's not as dirty as you would think. It's not as funny as you would think. It's just kind of it's fine. Salma Hayek and Seth Rogen and Kristen Wiig and Jonah Hill and Paul Rudd and Edward Norton, Michael Cera, everybody you can imagine. James Franco. They're all in the whole team. Everybody does voices, and you can tell, and it's okay. A few Blu-ray exclusives, mostly featurette things, and that's what you get. Ultraviolet along with the Blu-ray.
Pierce Brosnan stars in IT, which is a real straight-to-DVD type programmer that shows that, Pierce Brosnan, he's getting up there, and I guess he'll do anything. It's about a guy, he plays a guy, very successful. Keeps on ticking. He's got a beautiful wife, and he's got a teenage daughter, and he's super smart. And it turns out that his IT consultant, who was like running his home and his life, starts to kind of use his skills to do bad things.
That's not right. Exactly. All pertains to a server. It's always that home server problem. Isn't it?
Very, very formulaic, real push button, just totally straight to DVD stuff. It completely depends upon your love of Pierce Brosnan. Who's cool. I liked him as Bond. But now that he's 60-something, do I like him in this? No, this is bad news.
All right. Fair enough. Let's hop into some TV here, Mark. The Durrells in Corfu, complete first season. This is from PBS.
Wait. I want to make sure that our listeners are sitting down as you discuss the Durrells in Corfu.
The Durrells in Corfu.
Because you know that our listeners... Wow, they're on Amazon right now.
It takes place. Look,
wow.
Okay, fine. This is about people who leave 1930s England to go to a Greek island, And it's beautiful. It's shot in Greece, and it's gorgeous, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a period thing, and it's just one of those great BBC masterpiece things that they do so well, and it always winds up on PBS here as part of the masterpiece line, like Downton Abbey. That took off like gangbusters. This one probably won't, but it's also very pleasant, beautifully written, very well acted. I would like for it to be on Blu-ray. It's based on a trilogy of novels called The Durrells in Corfu as well, and I think it's lovely. I would like to see more of it.
Some people would like to see more of Outlander.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not familiar with the show, I have to say.
It's been on for a while.
This is the second season DVD set. And
they're going into the third season right now.
They are going to the third season. It's on Stars. And I just feel like it looks great. And it seems a little bit soapy. It's somewhere between like a PBS show and Ease the Royals. Kind of like it splits the difference. But
it's the time travel aspect to it is what people think is cool, which I think is actually kind of weird.
I guess. Anyway, I have not seen this. We're just letting you know what's out there. The second season of Outlander coming back to Stars.
Awesome. And then we got a couple of documentary series here that are both worth watching if you're into that. NASA Journey Through Space documentary series. We can't really put people into space right now. NASA doesn't have a space shuttle or anything at all. We rely on the Russians, which really sucks. But this 7-part series will restore your faith in what NASA has done in the past and perhaps will do again in the future. So this is the story of the American space program, Kennedy, and we will do that and the other thing, put a man into space and all that stuff. And, of course, landing on the moon, yada, yada, so forth and so on. If you didn't live through this, like Mark and I did, because we're a million years old, this is probably a lot more exciting. If you did, it's nice nostalgia. There's also The Indian Wars, A Change of Worlds, which is a 7-part documentary series from Mill Creek, which gets into, we always think of Little Bighorn and Custer and Sitting Bull and all that stuff, but there's a lot more to it. The so-called Indian Wars really represent a rather extraordinary moment in the history of North America when one culture, I shouldn't say conquered, but essentially replaced another through great amount of bloodshed and conflict. And there are very few heroes here on either side. There's nothing particularly heroic about any of this, but it is just from a completely dispassionate historical point of view quite an interesting series. It is well worth looking at. The Indian Wars, A Change of Worlds.
Wait, here's a recommendation for you. This is a British show from about 6-8 years ago called The It Crowd.
Uh-huh.
And this is a good show. It's about this British show by the guy who created Father Ted. I love Father Ted. Wade is all into the British sitcoms, and he's way over into it. It's like it's a weird obsession. It might be a fetish. But I have to say that...
yeah, for sure a fetish.
But I have to say that Father Ted... funny.
Oh, it's so funny.
So the guy who created Father Ted created the It Crowd, and it's about these 3 people, and they're stuck in the basement of their skyscraper office, and, it's all about how they kind of get through their day. They're nerds. There's a computer whiz, and they're, like, socially awkward. And it stars Chris O'Dowd, who has since gone on to become kind of an interesting little character actor guy.
He really
in,
has, hasn't he?
Type films.
He's been great. Yeah, I mean, in Bridesmaids, that's when he really kind of popped through. He'd been in a number of other things, and British and Irish films before that, but that's when people said, "Hey, I like this guy."
Anyway, so this is a really funny show. I would definitely recommend at least renting The It Crowd. It's the complete series, all 4 seasons on 5 discs. There's also a bunch of special features. So yes, if you're not familiar with the film, if you're not familiar with the show, The It Crowd, I would definitely give this a whirl because it is funny stuff from across the pond.
Yay!
Unless you already live across the pond, in which case it's funny stuff from your home country.
So, Marco,
unless you live across the pond, but you don't live in the UK, in which case it's funny stuff from the continent.
So Marco Brambilla directed the Dinotopia miniseries, which is on Blu-ray. And I have to say the whole concept of this is really quite ridiculous. The sort of like a Western frontier thing with dinosaurs. I won't get to any great degree into this. Either you look, Dinotopia is a ridiculous absolutely pointless miniseries. Remarkably well done with very good special effects, but if you think about it for 13 seconds, it'll just go completely off the rails. That being said, it's got a lot of good stuff in it. Great music by Trevor Jones, really, really good score. Trevor Jones, just one of the great composers of all time. And some really, really good acting, which includes Alice Krieg and David Thewlis, and the always amazing Wentworth Miller. And this is where I want to go with this, because not really, Dinotopia, Blu-ray, whatever.
Is he always amazing, Wentworth Miller?
Wentworth Miller is just so much fun on those. He's the best thing about all those DC shows, about The Flash and Heroes of Tomorrow. He's the best thing about all that stuff. Have you watched any of that? You don't, do you?
No.
You don't watch The Flash.
Nerd.
You are so Earth 2. You are just so Earth 2.
Nerd.
Anyway, yeah, that's what it is. So, all right, real quickly then, let me go through 3 foreign language films that we have this week. We've got an Israeli film called The Kind Words. I don't think it's as great as a lot of other people seem to think that it is. This is from Strand. I think I've certainly seen better films that deal in some of the same material. But in any case, this is about 3 siblings, a sister and 2 brothers. And they discover after their mother's death that their father was not really their father.
What?
Boom. Yeah, boom. And now, of course, you have to undertake this journey of discovery, and it's a big family thing. And it's okay. It doesn't really sort of do what you expect a movie like this to do, but it's fair enough. It's decent. Then we have, from Film Movement Classics, another really, really great classic foreign language film from 1976, Ettore Scola's Ugly, Dirty, and Bad. I'm so glad Film Movement is doing this. Their classics line is really moving up there into like Kino and Cohen and Criterion territory. They're getting so many good films. They're really good transfers. And Ettore Scola, of course, one of the great Italian directors of the sort of late period, post Antonioni, post what?
Post Uwe Boll?
Yeah, sort of the post Antonioni, the late Antonioni period. Anyway, Ettore Scola, really great director. Significantly overlaps with all the others in the 60s and 70s, but this is a terrific film. It is pretty long. It's just under 2 hours. It is quite funny. Although it's a little tiny bit dated, it's of a certain kind of Italian humor that they don't really do anymore. But anyway, if you like Roberto Benigni movies, you will probably enjoy it. It's more in that kind of vein of about a guy who inherits life insurance money and doesn't want to actually give any of the money to his relatives, and then it turns into a bit of a farce thereafter. Great commentary from Richard Pena, who is the director emeritus of the New York Film Festival and a professor at Columbia University, and really well worth checking out. And then, of course, here's the gold standard this week for foreign language films, The Complete Lone Wolf and Cub on Blu-ray from Criterion. If you are not familiar with the Lone Wolf and Cub films, there are 6 of them, and it is essentially about a roving samurai and his infant son who's in a baby cart that's booby-trapped, and lots of really great feudal Japanese action to go. This also includes the high-definition version of the original Shogun Assassin, the 1980 movie, that took the first 2 films and then edited them together and created like an English dubbed version of it. So you get that here as well. There are also other re-edits of the other films that are part of the Shogun Assassin series of films. Those are not here. Those have been previously released. They are still on DVD, very hard to find. But this also includes a 2005 documentary about the making of the series and new interviews, and it's just really loaded with great stuff to really give you a great background on this. Here's the thing about these, though. The Lone Wolf and Cub films, which are absolutely wonderful, are based on a manga. Get this. You're going to love this. So the Lone Wolf and Cub manga inspires the movie series, which is then re-edited into the movie Shogun Assassin, which then inspires a graphic novel in America called Road to Perdition, which is then made into the movie The Road to Perdition. So The Road to Perdition is based on a comic, which is inspired by a movie that was re-edited from 2 other movies that were based on a manga.
What?
Did you follow that?
No.
Pretty great. So anyway, Road to Perdition basically is the American descendant of this. I would love to do a documentary someday if anybody were willing to fund it, about the weird back and forth lineage between Japanese and English language material. Kurosawa and all the Shakespeare and the Ed McBain, and you know what I mean? And then
It always seemed weird to me that because High and Low is one of my favorite Kurosawa films. I think High and Low is great.
Yeah.
But when you read that it was based on an Ed McBain novel, it seemed like two different worlds.
You go, what?
How'd they connect?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Wade, shut up. That's my transition to anything I say. Wade, shut up.
Yep.
Big release of the week, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Taxi Driver.
Anniversary.
40th anniversary of Taxi Driver.
Cannot believe it's been that long.
It's been 40 years since Taxi Driver. This, of course, won the Palme d'Or in 1976 at the Cannes Film Festival. And it's weird when you think that Taxi Driver won the Palme d'Or. Can you imagine them awarding like a Taxi Driver of 2017 the Palme d'Or?
Right.
Glah. Fla. This is one of the all-time great films. I have to say that if you do not own any other Taxi Driver Blu-ray iterations, you should definitely buy this. If you own one of the other Taxi Drivers, you might want to take a look at this. It's got the original 1986 commentary from Scorsese and Paul Schrader, recorded by the Criterion when it was out on Criterion. It's a two-disc set. It's got a making of, which is great. It's got another commentary. It's got a couple of featurettes about the New York locations and all about Scorsese talking about the film. It's a brand new 4K transfer. It's a grainy film. It's an old film. It's a 40-year-old film, so it's not going to look like Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's as good as it's ever going to look. It also includes a brand new Q&A featuring Scorsese, De Niro, and Jodie Foster. De Niro, of course, never the most talkative guy, but you have Scorsese there, and he's always awesome, and I love Jodie Foster. So I don't know what to tell you. Taxi Driver, one of the great films about just alienation and being unable to connect with other people and just utter, complete, desperate loneliness. It really is. And Bernard Herrmann, what a great score by Bernard Herrmann.
Right?
Fla. So I just think Taxi Driver is one of the all-time great films. Now, some of this might be, some of the residents might be peeled off by the fact that Travis he's a veteran, he was in Vietnam, and we don't really. That doesn't mean that much to us today. That definitely added a layer of depth that doesn't resonate now. But that being said, there's still so much amazing stuff in this movie. This movie is just they don't make them like this anymore, Wade.
I know. They don't.
So, Taxi Driver, I would seriously consider double dipping. Take a look at the one you have now and see if you want to replace it, because you would be justified in doing so.
Totally. All right, a bunch of Olive titles. Got a great Olive batch this month. Really, really good. A little bit of obscure, a little bit of cool, but the obscure stuff is really, really super cool. So, there's a movie called Special Effects, Mark.
No, that's not the Brian Brown film. Remember the old Brian Brown film?
No, that's FX.
Got it.
This is called Special Effects.
Interesting.
And it's basically a thriller. It's a very kind of inside meta Hollywood thriller from 1984, late in the career of the great Larry Cohen, who wrote and directed this, one of the great all-time exploitation filmmakers. It's a thriller that sort of satirizes thrillers. And this is, of course, when special effects was just becoming a thing, right? Star Wars really took special effects movies to a whole new place in 1977. Nobody really went out to see special effects movies prior to that. They'd see movies that had, optical effects, I should say. That wasn't really a thing until 77, and then it became the only thing. Then we got, Star Trek and Superman and Close Encounters and on and on and on. So it's a fun world to sort of use as to launch a satirical thriller about Hollywood. And as exploitation-y as this is, and it really feels more like a 70s film, it's actually quite a lot of fun. We also have The Return of Dracula, which is one of the... This is directed by Paul Landers, Landres. This is from 1958. This is one of those little-known, lower-budget Dracula movies that doesn't really warrant much attention, if not for the fact that it just is so unusual compared to the others. It's a completely different style. It's not sort of Andy Warhol-ish. It's not in the classic vein. It's not even in the Hammer vein. It's just its own thing, and it was done by UA at the time. And it's not a huge all-star cast or anything at all. It's just a very unusual movie. And this is The Return of Dracula. Also from Olive is Strategic Air Command. starring Jimmy Stewart and June Allison. A popular Jimmy Stewart film, not the most popular Jimmy Stewart film, but it's as far as a military movie. Jimmy Stewart, who of course served in World War II, jumped rather ably right after that into doing military-themed movies that were very Cold War-oriented, and that's exactly what this is. It was shot in VistaVision, and it looks gorgeous. That's the most important thing to see here. It's a pretty decent Blu-ray transfer, but the VistaVision really, really does make it better. And let's see. Then we've got this is an interesting one. Little Foss and Big Halsey, F-A-U-S-S, and Halsey, H-A-L-S-E-S-Y, Little Foss and Big Halsey. This is one of those kind of pseudo-studio, semi-counterculture movies that tried to put big stars into something that had a little bit more of a kind of a youth appeal. All these things kind of show up in the wake of Easy Rider. This is from 1970. And the only thing that sort of elevates this above being one of those sort of rebel youth movies from the 60s is the fact that it has Robert Redford in it. Really very ably backed by Michael J. Pollard, Lauren Hutton. Best diastema ever, right? Lauren Hutton? Diastema?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was Letterman-esque.
Letterman-esque. Love the diastema. Noah Beery and Lucille Benson. And, yeah, it's a motorcycle racing movie, and it's whatever. It is. It is what it is. It doesn't really. It's not a great movie, but Redford looks good, and the motorcycles are fast, and the performances are decent. Mark, have you ever seen Gas?
Yeah, no. I thought you were going to say, have you ever seen...
No, this is
there was
like...
a film called...
Yeah, with Dirk Benedict as the guy who turns into a snake. No, this is Gas. It's like with G-A at the front of it. This is another one of those, it's also from 1970, one of those semi-counterculture-y kind of things, but this gets really weird. This is one of those post-apocalyptic deals when they were not really doing a very good job making them, like pre-Omega Man.
Oh,
right?
yeah, like Omega Man was incredible.
Well, Omega Man was when they first kind of got the post-apocalyptic thing right.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, no. You know what it's all about?
What's it all about?
Damnation Alley.
Yeah.
Remember Damnation Alley? Where
giant cockroaches.
I thought it was like a big scorpion that attacked their little
Oh, that's
car.
what it was. It was giant scorpion. Yeah, that's right. Anyway.
Best.
So anyway, yeah, you get an interesting cast here. Ben Vereen and Cindy Williams and Bud Cort. It's a little, it's definitely a 1970s before these people go on to do better work kind of a thing. But the distinguishing characteristic of this is the fact that this was written by George Armitage, okay, good screenwriter, and directed and produced by Roger Corman, who clearly was trying to do something much more, I guess, somewhat professional. He was trying to do something a little bit riskier than what he was otherwise doing at the time, and it doesn't quite get there. But it's an interesting artifact. It's a really interesting and unusual movie. Yul Brynner, Robert Mitchum, and Charles Bronson in Via Rides. It's a Pancho Villa movie. I don't know what else.
It's
you
pronounced
can say.
Pancho Villa.
Yeah, it's a Pancho Villa movie. I don't really know what else you can say about this, except that Yul Brynner is an absolutely ridiculous Pancho Villa, and it's great. It is great how awesomely ridiculous he is. There's nothing about a Ukrainian man that even remotely can pass as like a Mexican, legendary bandito. It doesn't work.
It worked for Eli Wallach.
You know what? Eli Wallach, yeah, kind of, sort of, but Yul Brynner doesn't work at all. And yet, it's wonderful. It's just wonderful watching him try. I don't know how I can even reach that conclusion, but it's fun. It's a whole lot of fun. And really, really good cinematography. Jack Hildyard who did Bridge of the River Kwai, shot this, and it looks gorgeous, and the Blu-ray is a really solid transfer. And then lastly, we have a couple of interesting animated films. Effectively, they're not. It's not anime per se. It's Korean animation, which is kind of sort of anime. And these are both relatively recent. One from 2011, one from 2013. The one from 2011 is The King of Pigs, and the one from 2013 is The Fake. Now, there's a whole history and a whole Korean animation backstory to this that we don't really have time to get into. But what's interesting about both of these films is that they are, and these are directed by Jung Song-ho. Jung Song-ho. And what's interesting about both of these is that they're not really like anime films in the animation sense, but how do I even put this? They evoke anime, but they're not anime. You can tell that, like as there is very often the case with Korean culture, you can tell that there is an ancient historical Japanese influence on it. But the dramatic structure of these things, these are essentially just straightforward family dramas. Very, very interesting, very unusual, and very uniquely Korean. So with that, I would say if you are an animation buff, The King of Pigs and The Fake are worth checking out. Really interesting acquisitions from Olive.
What? Oh, you put everything everywhere.
I just dropped everything all over you. That's what I do. How are you feeling, by the way? Are you finally over your cough and all that nonsense?
Yeah. In fact, I kind of forgot about it.
Oh, good.
It only took about 6 weeks.
Now that I reminded you of it,
Now I'll start coughing again. Let's see what we got. We got from the good folks at Film Detective, Suddenly, which has been out on Blu-ray before, and this was directed by my step-grandfather. Okay, here's the situation.
Yeah.
Lewis Allen directed this.
That's right. Love
this
it.
is directed by
the great Lewis Allen.
stepmother's stepfather. What does that make him? My stepmother's stepfather.
That means this is directed by... So this is directed by your stepmother's stepfather.
Correct.
So that makes this your step grandfather?
I don't know that there's two different steps. I think it's just he's my step-grandfather. He's passed away, but he still is.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, so Suddenly is about Frank Sinatra, very good as a cold-blooded killer who wants to... he pulls up into the town of Suddenly, California to try to assassinate the president. And will he do it? Yes. No, I'm not giving it away. Just kidding you. So it's Sterling Hayden's in this, and we love Sterling Hayden. It was a few years before Sterling Hayden became the entertaining crackpot that he became in other films. But Sinatra's terrific, and the Blu-ray's okay. They picked up the rights from I'm trying to figure who had did it before. Might have been I do not know who released this before, but I guarantee it was somebody. HD Cinema Classics. So there's no extras on this thing. If you like the movie, go for it. But Film Detective, they actually pick up some good movies. Actually, they're doing a pretty good job over there. I just wish that they had more. They could spend some money on extras and upgraded transfers and that kind of stuff. Hopefully,
in time.
Double feature featuring the late Gene Wilder. We have Hanky Panky, starring Gene and his wife Gilda Radner, and Another You, which was the fourth collaboration between Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. Both of these movies are not very good. Hanky Panky is notable.
But it's Gene Wilder, and then he's with his wife.
Really, for me, Hanky Panky is only notable because it was directed by Sidney Poitier, which is a little weird.
Yeah.
Like Sidney Poitier was like Mount Rushmore in terms of actors and just stature, and he directed Hanky Panky.
Yeah.
So not really into that. He also directed Stir Crazy. So Poitier's directing career was not quite like his acting career. Anyway, neither of these films are very good. You would have to be a real Gene Wilder completist, and God love you if you are, to be interested in this double feature DVD, Hanky Panky and Another You.
So we've got some Warner Archive stuff as well. Warner Archive has a great lineup this month. The Hollywood Legends of Horror collection is 6 films on a DVD-R collection. Some really decent stuff in here. I mean, there's, The Devil Doll is one of the famous ones. Dr. X is a big deal. Mark of the Vampire, a little bit lower. Mask of Fu Manchu, a little bit sort of lower key. But you get this because you just want to watch a lot of fun actors. You want to watch Peter Lorre and, Wayne Morris, who's a very underrated actor, and Lionel Barrymore. You just want to immerse yourself in this whole scene, that whole moment and genre of movie making. And then we also have a double feature, Richard Dix in Ghost Ship and Dennis O'Keefe in The Leopard Man. 2 more cool genre films from the era with some decent special features on here. William Friedkin does a commentary for The Leopard Man. And it's something I never would have expected, and it comes as really quite a nice surprise. So that's worth checking out. Great directors here too: Jacques Tourneur and Mark Robson. That's good cred, right? Good cred,
Yeah, of course.
And then they continue with their RKO Comedy Classics Collection, Volume 2, Wheeler and Woolsey. 6 films: Dixiana, The Cuckoos, Too Many Cooks, Everything's Rosy, Cockeyed Cavaliers, and Silly Billies. Very particular moment, very particular kind of film. The comedy team of Burt Wheeler and Robert Woolsey, kind of overlooked and forgotten today, but they made some fun stuff for RKO and worth being rediscovered. Here's the really good stuff. Here's our Warner Archive Blu-ray lineup this month. Really good stuff. Really interesting stuff all over the map. Ida Lupino and Robert Ryan in On Dangerous Ground, right? Okay, gorgeous Blu-ray, incredibly well shot. Classic film from Nicholas Ray, just some of the best cinematography ever. John Houseman, of course, produced. Just a really, really rock-solid, good black and white crime film, just really hard-hitting, good solid noir stuff. Fair enough. Then we get Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Now, this is, a fairly recent film. This is a Clint Eastwood-directed drama from not that long ago. And I thoroughly despise this film. However, I know a lot of people love this film. Do you like this film?
Meh.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't alone.
You're not alone.
I mean, my big problem with this was it was just sort of all over the map. Kevin Spacey he wasn't invested in it, and then you've got Jude Law has that ridiculous accent, and the plot sort of meanders. It's really very, very leisurely. I think Clint's become a better filmmaker in his 80s than he was in his 70s.
I like Sully a lot, but part of the reason why Sully is so good is because of the way it was edited. It's a little snappier, feels a little more modern, right?
Yeah. Well, you get interviews here, which is about as much as you could probably expect for an archive Blu-ray extra of a recent film. And then here's the one that I really want to spend a bit of a moment on. I did not see this coming. Body Snatchers from the Warner Archive collection.
Is that the Abel Ferrara one?
This is the Abel Ferrara one.
That's pretty good.
This
it's
film,
not the best of the Body Snatchers films, but it's pretty good.
Well, Larry Cohen again shows up here, gets a screen story co-credit, and even though he doesn't get a screenplay credit, I'm assuming that at some point there was a script of his that was somehow involved in this. This whole thing gets into there's a Kuwait, a George H.W. Bush era Kuwait war angle to this, which is very interesting. There's like a game that the one guy that remember the Kuwait. There's the little finger game that they play, which I saw this at Cannes, and this is what I want to get to. This Abel Ferrara really kind of he took a swing for the bleachers with this. He tried to get back in the game of doing big studio mainstream stuff. Didn't really work, and then he sort of retreated into doing his little hyper indie black and white marginal budget things after that. And it was sad. I was sorry that this didn't do better because it really could have given him added cachet. He really could have taken it to a new level again. I think the film was a little bit unfairly maligned, but however, that being said, when I saw that at Cannes, that was the most bizarre press conference I have ever attended for that film.
What?
It is still one of the most legendary press conferences. Abel Ferrara was very happy, came out, doing his usual kind of streety swagger thing, and that was 93. That was the year that the Piano won the Palme d'Or along with Farewell My Concubine, and everybody knew the Piano was a front runner. Farewell My Concubine was the one that nobody saw coming up the gut. But Ferrara starts the press conference by saying, "Hey, I just saw Jane Campion at the airport. They gave her the Palme d'Or on the tarmac." Big laughter, very funny, kind of prophetic. And then, about 10 minutes into the press conference, Alexander Walker stands up. Mark, you know who Alexander Walker was?
Stanley Kubrick
famous,
confidant and writer about.
Yes, famous British film critic, close friend of Kubrick's, wrote a book about Kubrick. But at the time, is he still alive?
Yeah,
Look at Walker. He must have died.
Sure, he's not.
Okay,
We'll see right now.
He would have to be in his 90s if he were. So anyway, Walker, crusty old curmudgeon that he is, stands up and in his very patrician English starts laying into Abel Ferrara.
He died in 2003.
Yeah, there we go, a decade ago. So he starts laying. That was about a decade later. So how old was he when he died?
Oh, I have to do that now?
Yes, you do. You're going to answer my question. You're going to do it.
All right, what are we doing DVDs here? What are we doing?
Yes, we are. Abel Ferrara, Alexander
Did you
Walker.
finish your story?
No, I'm not. I'm still in the middle of the story.
Okay.
It's a good story. So
73.
He was 73. Okay, so he was 63 going on 90. So he's Alexander Walker stands up and just starts shredding poor Abel Ferrara, laying into him because he has, quote unquote, overlooked many of the positive aspects of body snatching. I'm not kidding you. He laid into him because his movie overlooked the quote-unquote positive aspects of body snatching.
And what would those positive aspects be?
It makes people more sociable, less inclined to do violence, and so forth and so on. Basically, it was he was concocting some kind of a weird argument, which frankly could have applied to both previous versions of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the Philip Kaufman and the original black and white film. They could have applied to those as well, which is that we should all be so fortunate as to have aliens like take us over because they will make us behave and be more peaceful. It was an extremely odd argument, and it made no sense. And Walker just looked like the cranky old lunatic who somehow wandered into a press conference where he didn't belong. And then the next question was from somebody in Denmark or Netherlands or somewhere who said, "Well, I really like the film." And Ferrara says, "Well, tell him that." And then big laughter, and Walker got very huffy, and no one heard from him again. Anyway, that's the story of Abel Ferrara's Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Body Snatchers, the official title. And it's now out on Blu-ray from the Warner Archive Collection, and it is worth checking out. It is worth revisiting. It's a better film than anybody gave it credit for at the time.
I agree.
Yep.
And not just because you drop some names at the press conference.
is correct.
Alexander Walker does this, and then Meany does that.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Private Property is from the good folks over at Cinelicious,
Yeah.
and they did a real
Cinelicious Picks.
They did a real nice job
Right.
resurrecting a film that was considered to be lost. This is stars Warren Oates, Corey Allen, and Kate Manx, and this is basically a film about a rape.
Yeah. It's a
They played
kind of a long lost film.
It is.
And it was a bit of a bit scandalous at the time.
Well, it was because Warren Oates and Corey Allen they play these drifters, and one is named Duke and one is named Boots, and Boots has no sexual experience at all. So Duke decides he's going to break into a house and basically find him a woman to have sex with.
Yeah.
And so it's a pretty deranged, dirty little film. And it's got a very young Warren Oates before he became, Sergeant Hulka,
Right.
and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And it's a good film. It was the guy who wrote it and directed it. He was involved in The Outer Limits.
Oh,
Leslie Stevens.
Leslie Stevens, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Who was like sort of the Rod Serling of The Outer Limits. Yeah.
Yes. And what's interesting is actually Leslie Stevens and Kate Manx, who plays the woman, they were married at the time.
Oh, I did not know
Which
that.
is a little creepy when you see your wife, getting terrorized by, Warren
Yeah.
Oates and whatever. And Warren Oates and the guy who a few years later would terrorize James Dean in
Right.
Rebel
Yeah.
Without a Cause.
Sure.
Anyway, Private Property, I recommend this mightily because it is a great example of a film that is just terrific and has been lost and deserved to be resurrected, and it has been resurrected by the good folks at Cinelicious Picks. So good for them, and definitely check out Private Property. It is a real surprise.
And three interesting little blasts from the past. The first one is from the Arrow line, another cool exploitation film from the mid to late 90s, The Initiation. This is just one of those sorority sister slasher movies, significant primarily because this was the first film for Daphne Zuniga. This was when she, actually, 80s. I didn't mean 90s. 80s, mid to late 80s movie.
I used to like her. She was cute.
Yeah, this is Daphne Zuniga doing her.
I thought it was Zuniga. Is it Zuniga?
Daphne Zuniga,
I don't know what it is.
whatever. Anyway,
All I know is back in the day, she was cute.
yes, she was, and she's perfectly fine here as well. A lot of extras. There's a new interview with Charles Pratt Jr., who wrote it. New interview with Christopher Bradley. A lot of extended scene trailers, the usual things. So it's a nice new addition to the Arrow line of kind of culty classics. And then these are awesome. These are absolutely awesome. From the Olive, this is the Olive signature line. So Olive now has a line of classics of their own, which they're packaging a little bit differently. There's a nice full-color sleeve slip cover on these. And these are the movies they're really trying to give some closer attention to. We mentioned High Noon a few weeks ago was one of those. And boy, is this awesome. The first one, Night of the Grizzly with Clint Walker. Beautiful, beautiful artwork. They've really put some effort into this. Everybody's kind of trying to do their own Criterion line here as well. And Night of the Grizzly still holds up. I got to tell you, there's certainly a Walking Tall feel to this, except he's not getting revenge against humans. It's he's trying to kind of take out the grizzly. So there's a little bit more Jaws, I guess. Jaws or Godzilla of some kind. Grizzly is just, or Cujo, right? This is like Cujo with a bear. Anyway, Joseph Pevney, who did a lot of Star Treks, directed a lot of Star Treks, this is one of his big feature efforts, and it's a really, really cool film. Totally holds up. 1966, right before Pevney went on to do a lot of Star Trek. Keenan Wynn, Jack Elam, a lot of those good crusty-faced guys show up in this thing. Beautiful, beautiful transfer. Fantastic audio commentary by a film historian. Bunch of featurettes, including world premiere archival footage. It's really, really great. And then here's the big mama. From the Olive signature line, The Quiet Man. John Ford's The Amazing The Quiet Man. Maybe the best film that John Wayne ever made. John Wayne, Maureen O'Hara, Barry Fitzgerald. Great cast, great movie. If you're Irish, this just goes right to your heart. I'm a quarter Irish. Really, really goes right to my heart. Really fantastic. Love this movie. And the thing that I particularly love about this movie, this wonderful, wonderful 1953 movie, is that 30 years after this movie was released, this was released in 53, 30 years later, Mark, where was this movie memorialized?
In Cincinnati.
No. It shows up in another movie.
In Cincinnati.
No. It shows up in E.T.
What?
You remember? Don't you remember?
No.
When they let the frogs loose in the classroom? E.T. Remember, Elliot is in the room, he's in the classroom, and E.T. is watching The Quiet Man back at the house, remember? And then he's like with what's-her-face who wound up on Baywatch? Erica Eleniak, the little Erica Eleniak, and then Elliot and Erica are doing the thing that Wayne is doing with Marina, and he's connecting with E.T.
Yes,
you have no idea what I'm talking about.
No idea.
Okay. All right. Anyway, it's a wonderful movie. It's fantastic. Joe McBride, good friend of ours who showed up in our Schlock documentary, does the audio commentary.
Yeah, no idea.
Because he has been he wrote a biography of John Ford that is wonderful. And anyway, it's fantastic. It's really good. A lot of featurettes, just gorgeous. And Joe does a great commentary. He's always a good guy to listen to. He knows everything about everything John Ford. Fantastic.
Sweeney Todd, he's a demon barber of Fleet Street. And the San Francisco Symphony, conducted by Rob Fisher, gives us from the innocent year of 2001, Sweeney Todd. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
This is, it's Sweeney Todd. He's a demon barber of Fleet Street. It's got Patti LuPone, who was, of course, in Evita, and a 15 years younger Neil Patrick Harris.
Sure.
And so it was a special concert for, it wasn't like a run. It was just a special concert. But it's good. It's really well shot. It's 2001, but it's enough in the digital era where it still looks pretty good. And, of course, the music is fantastic by Stephen Sondheim. I would definitely see this over the Johnny Depp movie, which was like, man, you kidding me?
Yeah. No, that was no good.
Gypsy. Now, Gypsy, of course, is a terrific, kind of forgotten musical that was from 1959. Stephen Sondheim did the lyrics, and it's based on, of course, the memoirs of Gypsy Rose Lee, the famous stripper. And this is good. This is from the 2015 West End production, and this stars Imelda Staunton, Oscar nominee Imelda Staunton as Gypsy Rose Lee, and a couple others. And this is terrific. It's a lot of fun. It's beautifully shot. I just think if you're not familiar with Gypsy, or you're not familiar with that sort of era in the big, Broadway musicals, I think you would just really, really like this. It's just a great musical, and they did a great job resurrecting it in 2015 in the West End. So definitely check this out. Gypsy. Finally, we have my pick of the week.
Candide.
Candide, can do.
You know what would be great if you handed this out on Halloween, right?
Because Halloween Candide.
Yeah, would that be great? Like kids come and trick or treat, and you just drop this Blu-ray in their bags.
And with that, the show is canceled.
Thank you.
The only thing I don't like about this is I'm not a huge fan of Kristen Chenoweth. I know everybody loves her. She's such like a Broadway baby. She's kind of annoying to me. I don't know.
Yeah, she kind of is.
But anyway, this, of course, is based on the Voltaire novel, and it's got music by Leonard Bernstein, Stone.
Yeah.
And I had not seen this in a long, long time. I was more familiar with the music than I was with anything else about it. But as an operetta, it's really funny stuff. It's definitely, if you thought an opera was just an opportunity to catch up on your sleep, then you may want to check out Candide because it's funny stuff in 2 acts, and it's great. It's, again, not a huge fan of Kristen Chenoweth, but I loved everything else about it, especially the music, which is timeless, and it was recorded live at Lincoln Center. You can't get better than that.
Fantabulous. And then lastly, got a couple of DVD Blu-ray, or Blu-ray, I should say Blu-ray CD combo sets. Motley Crue, The End, live in Los Angeles. The Crew, Mark. Remember when they were just The Crew?
I was never a huge fan of them.
Yeah, not really, but I am more now.
It was too much of a hairband thing.
Yeah, but you know what? By the way, I am addicted to the new Channel 18 on XM Sirius Radio. Totally addicted.
I don't have
Okay,
that.
it used to be Yacht Rock, which was, like the rock that you'd listen to when you're on your yacht sailing over to Cannes while sipping a Mai Tai and surrounded by, playmates.
Like gay Europop?
It
was that?
Yeah, it was like leisurely sailing music. It was lame. So anyway, it is now officially all Bon Jovi all the time. I can't stop listening to it.
No.
I can't. It's all Bon Jovi. It's like 24/7 John Bon Jovi. It's pretty great. Occasionally it's like some Counting Crows or something else that sort of sounds like Bon Jovi, but it's otherwise all Bon Jovi all the time. You're not into it.
No.
Okay. Well, anyway, Motley Crue, same general era, a little bit more hair. This was live performance in Los Angeles, CD and Blu-ray. It's a lot of fun. I got to be honest. The Blu-ray's a little bit better. Dr. Feelgood really just rocks it. Pretty great. Girls. Looks That Kill, all the usual stuff. Pretty fun, and the solos are really, really great. And then on Blu-ray, we have Fall Out Boy, the Boys of Summer Tour, live in Chicago. Okay, I guess. I'm not really familiar with Fall Out Boy. Are you, Mark?
No, they're lame.
Are they lame?
Lame.
They're lame. Okay, well, anyway, I sort of tried to get into it. What's their deal? Why have I never heard of them?
Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next week.
All right, that's it. Anyway, if you're a fan, fair enough. This was filmed during their 2015 tour, and it's Fall Out Boy, Boys of Summer Tour, live in Chicago. All right, that's it. We are done, and we will be back next week. And then the week after that, which is the week of Thanksgiving and Black Friday, is our holiday show. You're definitely going to want to tune in. We've got a lot of fun stuff and a lot of great stuff to cover. The annual holiday show, and then after that, we will go on hiatus with possibly a couple of cleanups in December. But otherwise, 2 more shows, Mark, and then basically we're back in the new year. Can't believe we're there already. Okay, with that, we'll see you next week.